Have you ever been caught in an argument thinking you were defending your truth, only to walk away feeling drained, misunderstood, and no better off? You're not alone, and more importantly, you're not weak for walking away. You're wise. There comes a time in every man's life when he realizes this truth. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every battle is worth your presence. And in that moment, you stop trying to be right and start choosing to be at peace. Today's lesson is built around a single, life-changing idea: why you should never argue, as taught by the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. This isn't about silence, it's about strength. It's not passivity, it's power. It's not about letting things go because they don't matter. It's about realizing they never did. In this video, you're going to learn why arguing is the language of the insecure, how powerful men master their emotions without saying a word, what Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and even modern greats understood about dignity, and how to build a life where your energy is directed toward purpose, not pointless noise. This is going to be deep, emotional, and real. Built for men like you, the ones who are tired of wasting time and are ready to walk with power, clarity, and control. Like, share, and subscribe if you're ready to stop reacting and start rising. And in the comments, tell us, have you ever walked away from an argument that didn't deserve your energy? Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Wisdom of Withholding. Why silence is a man's strongest move. Have you ever noticed how the loudest man in the room is usually the one trying hardest to be heard, but not necessarily the one who's right? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never a need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control." Let that sink in. You always own the option of silence. In the modern world, everyone wants to speak. Online arguments, passive-aggressive comments, debates over opinions that change nothing. It's become a culture of noise. But Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled over millions, led armies, and fought real wars, understood a truth that today's man has forgotten. There is profound power in restraint. Arguing is emotional leakage. When a man argues, it's usually not about truth. It's about ego. It's about being seen, validated, and winning. But here's the irony. Even if you win the argument, you often lose the battle within. You lose your peace. You lose your time. You lose your masculine center. The Stoics believed that emotional reactivity is a form of weakness. The moment someone else can control your state, they own you. They push your button, and you explode. They say something ignorant, and you feel compelled to respond. You just gave away your power. Silence, on the other hand, is not withdrawal, it's containment. It's saying, "I hear you, but I refuse to be moved by you." This isn't cowardice, it's courage, it's mastery. A truly strong man is like a mountain, grounded, unmoved by storms. He doesn't flinch at criticism. He doesn't explain himself to people committed to misunderstanding him. He knows that arguing is like wrestling with pigs. Both of you get dirty, but only one of you enjoys it. Marcus Aurelius was surrounded by political schemers, betrayers, and men who wanted to see him fall. And yet, his meditations reveal a man who turned inward before reacting outward. He constantly reminded himself, how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Think about that. It's not the insult that breaks you, it's your reaction to it. The modern man thinks he must defend his pride in every encounter, but the wise man knows his dignity needs no defense. It is preserved through self-restraint. How to practice Stoic non-reactivity in daily life. You don't need a throne to practice what Marcus Aurelius taught. You need presence. Here's how you live this. 1. Pause before you respond. When someone challenges you, insults you, or throws a sarcastic jab, don't react. Breathe. Look at them. Let the silence speak for you. That pause is where your power lives. 2. Ask yourself, does this matter in 5 years? Most arguments are temporary storms over things that don't shape your future. Learn to identify what's truly worth your energy. You'll realize very little is. 3. Let others believe what they want. You don't need to correct everyone. You don't need to prove a point. Let them talk. Let them believe they won. Meanwhile, you're building, growing, evolving, quietly and powerfully. The man who masters himself, masters life. There's a line from Epictetus that echoes Marcus Aurelius. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Men today are provoked easily. Social media thrives off outrage. But the man who rises above this is untouchable. He's focused, composed, unshakable. He builds businesses while others argue on Twitter. He studies ancient wisdom while others chase gossip. He walks away from drama and walks toward discipline. And make no mistake, people notice. Your silence speaks louder than your defenses ever could. The next time someone challenges you, especially in front of others, remember this. They are trying to pull you into their frame, but you don't live there. You are a man who operates from truth, not ego, from purpose, not pride, from strength, not reaction. You can look a man in the eye and say nothing and still win. Because true power is quiet. Don't waste your days trying to prove yourself to those who will never understand your mission. Don't trade your peace for petty arguments. You are here to build, not to battle every voice in the crowd. Remember, every moment you don't argue is a moment you stay in your power, and when a man protects his peace, he protects his future. Comment below, my silence protects my power. Drop this in the comments if you've learned that not every battle deserves your energy. Chapter 2, The High Cost of Ego, What You Lose. When you need to be right, have you ever felt the need to prove your point so strongly that even when you won the argument, you felt empty afterward? That feeling is the hollowness after the victory, is a signal, a whisper from the deeper part of you that knows. Winning an argument often costs more than losing one. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than most. As Emperor of Rome, he had every opportunity to crush dissent, silence opposition, and prove his dominance, but instead he chose restraint, reflection, control. Why? Because the Stoics taught that ego is the enemy of peace, and needing to be right is a trap that turns wise men into fools. We live in a world that rewards being loud, opinionated, and reactive. Social media trains us to defend every belief, to clap back, to educate strangers in the comments. But have you ever asked yourself, at what cost? When you argue to win, you may gain temporary validation, a fragile sense of superiority, a moment of ego gratification. But what you lose, your energy, your peace, your time, your dignity. Every time you fight to be right, you surrender a piece of your presence. Every time you take the bait, your day becomes about proving, not progressing. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's the medicine. Stop explaining, start becoming. Let's go deeper. Why do men argue in the first place? Because the ego feels threatened. It sees disagreement as disrespect, and it panics. The ego says, if I don't correct this, I look weak. But strength doesn't come from domination, it comes from discipline. Real men don't need to win arguments. They're too busy winning in life. This is the wisdom Marcus lived by. He didn't engage in every challenge because he wasn't controlled by ego. He didn't need to prove anything because he had already proven it to himself. When a man is secure in his mission, others' opinions become irrelevant. The masculine mission is not to win every debate. It's to stay on course. Ego loves detours. It wants to veer you off the path every time someone doubts you. But you don't need to chase every voice. You don't need to fight every critic. You need to keep building, keep showing up, keep becoming the man you were born to be. There's a story of a samurai who was insulted in public by a drunk peasant. The crowd waited for the warrior to respond, expecting violence, but the samurai turned his back and walked away. When asked why he didn't defend his honor, the samurai said, "If a gift is offered but not accepted, to whom does it belong?" That's real power. Your attention is a gift. Your words are a gift. Your time is a gift. Stop giving them away to people who haven't earned the right to be heard. Arguing takes you away from your future. Imagine you're on a ship. The storms are raging, but your destination is clear. Every time you stop to argue with a bird squawking in the wind, you drift further off course. That's what ego does. It distracts you with noise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do." That's the mindset of a man with vision. He guards his future by refusing to drown in the present chaos. Let the world argue. You build. Let others chase applause. You chase mastery. Let them talk. You walk. One of the hardest lessons for a man to learn is this: you will not be understood by everyone, and that's okay. Many arguments are born from the desire to be seen, to be validated, to be understood. But not every soul is ready to receive your truth. Not every mind is capable of your depth. And when you argue with the blind, you become just as lost. Let your actions explain what your words cannot. Let your presence speak where your tongue should stay silent. Let your calm be the loudest voice in the room. There's a difference between how you are perceived and who you truly are. Arguing is often an attempt to control perception, but perception is fragile. It shifts with opinion. What matters more is reality, your actual results, your actual habits, your actual peace. Let men talk, let them doubt, let them assume, because while they argue, you're mastering your mind. While they post, you're preparing. While they fight for attention, you're earning respect, quietly, steadily, powerfully. The man who needs to win every argument is still enslaved by his ego, but the man who can nod, smile, and walk away, that man is free. Your ego will scream, it will beg you to speak, but speak only when your words are stronger than your silence. Everything else is noise. Comment below. I protect my peace, not my pride. Drop this in the comments if you've chosen presence over ego. Chapter 3. The warrior's mindset, fighting only when it's worth it. Have you ever found yourself exhausted, not from work, not from purpose, but from fighting battles that didn't even matter? You're not weak for being tired. You're just at war with too many things that aren't worthy of a warrior like you. A warrior doesn't fight every fight. He chooses his battles with intention. Marcus Aurelius understood this well. Though he was emperor, he was also a philosopher and a disciplined fighter of the inner war. He wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That means you don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with focus, with composure, with dignity. Not every attack deserves a response. The modern man is bombarded with opportunities to react. A disrespectful co-worker, a partner who misunderstands you, a stranger online who mocks your beliefs, family members who try to provoke you. But here's the truth, not every attack is worth engaging. When you respond to every insult, every jab, every misunderstanding, you waste your most valuable resources: time, focus, strength. A real warrior doesn't fight to prove he's strong. He fights to protect what matters. That might be his family, his values, his mission, his mind. And sometimes the most powerful move is to say nothing and walk away. You see, arguments are often emotional traps. They bait you with disrespect. They tempt you with ego. And when you fall into them, you give up something sacred, your inner command. A disciplined man doesn't flinch. He doesn't need to raise his voice. His discipline speaks for him. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." Notice the strength in that. He wasn't defensive. He was devoted to truth, not his pride. That's the warrior's mindset. Fight only for truth, never for ego. Every time you argue, you enter a war zone. And every war leaves damage, even if you win. You lose hours. You lose peace of mind. You walk away carrying the energy of a fight that changed nothing. So ask yourself before you speak, is this fight protecting something sacred? Will this argument build anything lasting? Or am I just bleeding energy over something that doesn't matter? The warrior is wise. He preserves his strength for what matters. He's not afraid to fight. but he refuses to fight for nothing. Strength isn't shown in victory, it's shown in restraint. The greatest warriors in history, from Marcus Aurelius to Miyamoto Musashi, were known not just for how they fought, but for how rarely they fought. Why? Because they understood that real power is reserved power. You don't need to roar to be respected, you don't need to explain to be understood, and you definitely don't need to argue to be wise. Sometimes walking away is the greatest act of strength, because it means you know who you are, and you don't need to prove it. Every argument you avoid is time saved. Every insult you ignore is emotional energy preserved. Every petty drama you walk past is one more step toward your future. Your dreams require focus. Your peace requires protection. Your vision demands that you say no to distractions, even when they come dressed as opportunities to prove yourself. Marcus Aurelius didn't waste words on fools. He spent his time on self-mastery, leadership, and internal reflection. He knew what every great man learns eventually. The biggest threat to your mission is not failure, it's distraction. This doesn't mean you should be passive. There are times to defend, times to speak, times to stand tall and say, enough. But those times are rare, and they're sacred. The rest of the time, you build in silence. You lead with action. You show up every day, calm, centered, unshaken. The world is filled with chaos, but your peace is your fortress, and you are the guardian of that fortress. Not every noise deserves a response. Not every attack deserves retaliation. Not every disagreement needs your voice. You don't need to win every fight. You need to win your future. Choose your battles the way a warrior chooses his weapons, with care, with purpose, with dignity. Let your presence speak louder than your pride. Let your silence echo with strength, and let your path be clear, unclouded by ego, untouched by chaos, because the man who guards his peace is the man who wins in the end. Comment below, I fight for purpose, not pride. Drop this in the comments if you've learned to walk away from what doesn't deserve your energy. Chapter 4, The Quiet Power of the Stoic Man. Living above the noise. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like your peace disturbed people more than your presence? That's because real calm, real power is rare. And when people can't understand it, they try to challenge it. But a man who lives above the noise doesn't need to explain himself. His life becomes the response. In a world addicted to attention, noise, and validation, the Stoic man is a threat. He's not easily provoked. He doesn't argue for fun. He doesn't seek to dominate every space. He just is. He lives by a different code, and that code is built on something deeper than pride. It's built on inner mastery. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This was not just poetic, it was strategic. As emperor, he had endless access to power, women, money, and distraction, yet he spent most of his free moments journaling, reflecting, seeking stillness. Why? Because he understood that true power is cultivated in silence, not just the silence of the mouth, but the silence of the mind, the ability to stay unmoved while the world moves in chaos around you. That is masculine power. Today's world rewards the reactive. The loudest voice wins the attention, but not the respect. The Stoic man doesn't play that game. He's not trying to be viral. He's trying to be valuable. The moment you begin to master yourself, people will try to test you. They'll call you distant, cold, arrogant, but that's because your peace confronts their chaos. Your calm reveals their noise. Let them misunderstand you. Let them doubt you. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to hold the line, to stay rooted in your values, in your growth, in your direction. Don't lower your frequency to match the room. Raise the room by holding your frequency. The Stoic man understands this. He doesn't need to shine brighter. He just needs to stay lit, quietly, consistently, without apology. Many people misunderstand Stoicism. They think it means bottling up your emotions. But it's not about repression. It's about refinement. The Stoic man feels everything. He just doesn't let everything control him. He feels anger, but channels it into discipline. He feels heartbreak, but turns it into deeper wisdom. He feels failure, but transforms it into fuel. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his meditations as a performance. He wrote them to train his soul, to remind himself daily that the battle was within, that no one could disturb his peace unless he allowed it. And the same is true for you. In a world full of reaction, the man who doesn't flinch stands taller. It's not apathy, it's awareness. You don't need to respond to every insult. You don't need to prove your worth in every room. You don't need to engage with every voice that speaks your name. You rise when you realize that not every situation deserves your energy. You rise when you recognize that your growth is more important than your image. You rise when you stop being a slave to other people's chaos and start becoming a master of your own stillness. The Stoic man leads not through force, but through example. He doesn't preach control, he lives it. He doesn't demand respect, he earns it through his presence. His family feels safe around him, his partner feels seen, his team feels inspired. Why? Because he's not reactive, he's responsible. He doesn't scatter when pressure rises, he sharpens. This is the man the world needs, not the loudest, not the angriest, but the one who is stable when others shake, calm when others panic, clear when others cloud the air with noise. Let the world flash its wealth, its muscles, its brands. You flex peace. You walk in silence, but you carry presence. You don't need to announce who you are. You show it in how you live. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, dressed simply. He slept little. He rose early. He lived with discipline because he knew the real kingdom is not outside you, it's inside. And the man who masters that kingdom, he becomes unshakable. Let the others argue. Let them fight to be heard. Let them live in the storm. You be the mountain, be the anchor, be the man whose stillness speaks volumes. Remember, you don't rise by being louder. You rise by being deeper. You don't win by reacting. You win by choosing. And you don't need to conquer the world, only yourself. Because when you do, you become the kind of man the world can't ignore.